in this competition, it seems to favour the experienced teams on the big night. You know, if you look at Leverkusen, had the better. They knocked Bayern out of the cup. They had the better of the league game a few weeks ago. Alonso, like I mentioned earlier, unbeaten in 6 games against Bayern, domestic stuff. But up to this tie was so different.
Yeah, well, Leverkusen haven't qualified for the knockout rounds of the Champions League since 2017. Bayern have been there and thereabouts every year. We expect them to make the semi-finals or close to it. They're always one of the teams listed as a possible favourite, even at the start of the very start of the competition. So there's a lot of guile, there's a lot of understanding, there's a lot of experience. And if you look at Leverkusen's team, that wouldn't be in their team. The team he put together in the last couple of seasons, particularly last season when they were so successful and won the double and got to the final. And we saw how they were outplayed in the final by Atalanta as well last year in the Europa League here in Dublin, where it kind of looked like they were gone with the effort of the season. And over these 2 legs, these 2 games, we've seen the same. Once Bayern had a real plan for the first game to defend well, defend the numbers, expose Leverkusen on the counter-attack, use the pace, the wide players. And it didn't really force them into kicking the ball along. It almost looked like Leverkusen and Alonso made the tactical decision to play a long ball game, which was very strange without a main man. He played them tonight chic. He wasn't effective. They were probably even less effective because Wirtz isn't there, who was the creative player. Grimaldo and Frimpong weren't very effective in the wide positions either. And Bayern showed their ability. The 2 holding players in midfield, Goretzka with Kimmich, did a reasonable job without showing anything very flashy, nothing like we saw with Barcelona earlier. But as a unit, they were effective. Harry Kane was probably the best player on the pitch. You know, he had 35 touches the ball in the match, scored a couple of goals.
It was just all very businesslike from Bayern in terms of, like, we've been here before.
But their work rate was sensational. Full-backs rarely were out of position. They were always in position. Back four didn't move until they got ahead. They never got ahead of the ball. Davies eventually did as the game opened up and got a great goal. But I think that they had just too much experience. And I think it meant an awful lot to them tonight, given how hard a time they've had against Leverkusen
in the domestic
over the last 2 seasons.